Life has this funny way of throwing curveballs at us. Things go wrong. Markets crash. Plans fall apart. People let us down. And the truth is, most of it is completely out of our hands. But here's the thing. Spending our time worrying about what we can't control is the fastest way to waste the time we do have. I learned this the hard way. I got fired from my own company. Can you imagine that? The company I built from my parents' garage. I could have obsessed over it, let it destroy me, but instead I focused on what I could control, and that made all the difference. So today, I want to talk about a simple but powerful idea, how to stop focusing on what we can't control and start putting our energy where it actually matters, because the moment we do that, we start building, we start innovating, and we start changing the world. Let go or be dragged. You know, most people spend their lives clinging to things that no longer serve them. They hold on to mistakes, onto regrets, onto old versions of themselves that no longer fit. And they don't realize that by doing that, they're not just standing still. They're being dragged. Dragged by the weight of the past. Dragged by the fear of change. Dragged by the illusion that if they just hold on tight enough, somehow they can make things go back to the way they were. But life doesn't work that way. Life moves forward. And the question isn't whether change is coming. The question is whether you're going to move with it or let it drag you down. I learned this the hard way. When I was forced out of Apple in 1985, I couldn't let go. I kept replaying every conversation, every decision, every moment that led up to it. I tortured myself with what-ifs. What if I had done something differently? What if I had fought harder? What if I had been a little more patient, a little more strategic? And the more I held on to those thoughts, the more they consumed me. I was being dragged, and I didn't even realize it. And then one day I did. One day I realized that Apple was gone. The company I had built, the company I had poured my soul into, was no longer mine. And no amount of analyzing, no amount of regret, no amount of holding on would change that. So I let go, and the moment I did, everything changed. You see, letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop fighting a battle that's already over. It means you take your energy and put it into something new. And that's what I did. I started Next, I built Pixar, and those things wouldn't have happened if I had stayed stuck in the past. If I had refused to move forward, I never would have built the technology that eventually brought me back to Apple. I never would have helped revolutionize animation with Toy Story, and I never would have been ready mentally, emotionally, creatively to take Apple into the future when I returned in 1997. But none of that would have happened if I hadn't made the decision to let go of what was already gone. Most people don't realize how much they're holding on to. They don't see the ways they're being dragged by their own thoughts, their own fears, their own inability to accept what is. They stay in relationships long after they've stopped growing. They stay in jobs that no longer challenge them. They hold on to resentment, onto failures, onto identities that no longer fit, and they don't understand why they feel stuck. But the truth is, you don't get unstuck by fighting the past. You get unstuck by letting it go. Think about it like this. Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack. At first, you barely notice the weight, but over time, it starts to slow you down. Every step becomes harder. You can't move as quickly, can't react as easily, and eventually, you're not moving forward at all. You're just struggling to stand. That's what happens when you refuse to let go. You don't just slow yourself down. You stop yourself from growing. And the only way to move forward is to drop the weight. Look at the greatest innovators, the greatest artists, the greatest leaders in history. They didn't get there by clinging to the past. They got there by knowing when to move on. They failed, they lost, they faced rejection, but they didn't let those things define them. They let go and kept going. Walt Disney was fired from his first job for lack of creativity. Can you imagine if he had let that define him? If he had held on to that failure and let it drag him down? Instead, he let it go. He built something new. and he changed the world. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. If he had held on to every failure, if he had let them drag him down, he never would have kept going. But he did, because he understood that failure isn't something you carry with you, it's something you learn from and leave behind. People think holding on makes them strong, but that's not true. Strength isn't about holding on. Strength is about knowing when to let go. And the people who understand that, they don't just survive change, they thrive in it because they're not afraid to adapt. They're not afraid to reinvent themselves. They're not afraid to say, that was then, this is now, and I'm ready for what's next. I saw this firsthand when we were working on the first iPhone. There were so many things we had to let go of. We had to let go of the idea that phones needed physical keyboards. We had to let go of the idea that people wouldn't pay for a touch screen. We had to let go of the belief that smartphones had to be built the way they had always been built. And every step of the way, people told us we were crazy. They told us we were making a mistake. But we knew that if we held on to the past, we wouldn't be able to create the future. So we let go, and because we did, we created something revolutionary. The same thing happened with the iPod. When we first introduced it, people laughed at the idea that anyone would pay hundreds of dollars for a music player when CDs were still popular. But we knew that holding on to CDs was a losing battle. We knew that people wanted something simpler, something better, and we didn't let the old way of doing things drag us down. We let go, and we changed the music industry forever. But letting go isn't just about business, it's personal too. And it's not always easy. Sometimes you have to let go of people. Sometimes you have to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you, from people who don't believe in your vision, from environments that keep you stuck. And that's hard, because we convince ourselves that if we just hold on a little longer, if we just try a little harder, things will change. But the truth is, some things aren't meant to be fixed. Some things are meant to be left behind. And if you don't have the courage to walk away, they will drag you down. I've had to make those tough choices. I've had to walk away from partnerships, from friendships, from situations that weren't right. And every time it was painful, but every time it was necessary. Because you can't build the future if you're still clinging to the past. You can't step into what's next if you're still being dragged by what was. And the people who succeed, truly succeed, are the ones who understand that. The world is changing every second. Technology is changing. Industries are changing. People are changing. And the ones who thrive in this world aren't the ones who resist change. They're the ones who embrace it. They're the ones who see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. And that only happens when you let go of what's holding you back. That only happens when you stop letting the past define you and start creating the future. I want you to think about what you're holding on to right now that's dragging you down. Maybe it's a failure you haven't forgiven yourself for. Maybe it's a dream you've outgrown but are too afraid to let go of. Maybe it's a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are. Whatever it is, ask yourself, is this helping me or is it holding me back? Because if it's the latter, then you already know what you need to do. And the moment you do it, the moment you finally let go, that's the moment everything changes. The thing about letting go is that it's not just a one-time decision, it's something you have to do over and over again. Every time you grow, every time you take a step forward, there's something you have to leave behind. And most people don't talk about that part. They don't tell you that success isn't just about gaining, it's about shedding. Shedding old ideas, shedding old habits, shedding the need to be right all the time, shedding the belief that you can control everything. Because the truth is, the tighter you hold on, the more resistance you create. And resistance keeps you stuck. One of the hardest things to let go of is the need for certainty. People want to know how things will turn out. They want guarantees. They want to be absolutely sure before they make a move. But that's not how the world works. That's not how innovation happens. That's not how life happens. If you wait for certainty, you'll never take the leap. If you wait for perfect conditions, you'll never start. If you wait until you have every answer, you'll never create anything meaningful. Because real progress requires risk. It requires stepping into the unknown. It requires trusting that even if you can't see the whole path, the next step will reveal itself once you take it. When we were building the original Macintosh, we didn't know if it would work. We didn't have a roadmap. We didn't have guarantees. All we had was a vision. And that had to be enough. We had to let go of our fear of failure. We had to let go of the idea that everything needed to be perfect before we launched. Because if we had waited for perfection, we never would have shipped anything. We had to trust that we could figure it out as we went. And we did. Because that's how real breakthroughs happen. Not by clinging to what's safe, but by embracing what's possible. But letting go isn't just about creating. It's about evolving. It's about becoming the person you're meant to be, and that means letting go of who you used to be. That's scary for most people. They get attached to their identity. They think, this is who I am. This is how people see me. I can't change now. But that mindset is a trap. It keeps you playing small. It keeps you stuck in a version of yourself that you've outgrown. The people who do great things in this world are the ones who aren't afraid to reinvent themselves. The ones who aren't afraid to say, that was me yesterday, but today I'm something new. I had to learn this lesson when I came back to Apple. The company had changed, the industry had changed, I had changed. And if I had tried to lead the same way I had before, I would have failed. I had to let go of the way I used to do things. I had to let go of my ego. I had to let go of my old assumptions. And because I did, I was able to see Apple clearly. I was able to focus on what mattered. And that's why we were able to create products that changed the world. Not because we held on to the past, but because we let it go. Most people fear change because they think it means losing something. But the irony is, refusing to change is what actually makes you lose. You lose opportunities. You lose time. You lose the chance to become something greater. And the only way to stop that from happening is to have the courage to let go. To trust that even if you don't know exactly what's coming next, something better is waiting on the other side. And it always is. But you'll never get there if you're still being dragged by what's behind you. So the question is, what are you holding on to right now that's keeping you from moving forward? What's the weight that's slowing you down? What's the fear, the belief, the past failure, the outdated dream that's keeping you stuck? Whatever it is, you don't need it anymore. It's time to drop the weight. It's time to stop resisting. It's time to let go. Energy is finite. Spend it wisely. Most people never stop to measure where their energy is actually going. They just wake up and go through the motions. They react to whatever comes their way. They let notifications, emails, news, and other people's demands decide how they feel and what they focus on. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted all the time, why they feel uninspired, why they feel like they never have enough energy to build something meaningful. It's because they've given up control. They've let the world decide where their energy goes instead of deciding for themselves. Energy isn't just about physical stamina. It's mental, it's emotional, it's creative. And if you don't manage it, if you don't direct it with intention, it will get scattered, it will get wasted, and once it's gone, you can't get it back. That's the difference between people who create things that matter and people who just get through the day. The ones who create, the ones who build, the ones who push the world forward, they treat their energy like a resource. They guard it, they channel it. They don't waste it on distractions. And because of that, they get more done in a day than most people get done in a year. But here's the thing. Most people don't realize how much of their energy is being drained by things they don't even think about. Worry, stress, regret, holding on to past failures, worrying about what people think, arguing over things that don't matter. These things might seem small, but they add up. They steal your focus. They take up space in your mind. And if you let them, they will consume your energy before you've even had a chance to use it for something meaningful. I'll tell you a secret. I don't waste my energy on things I can't control. I don't waste my energy on proving myself to people who don't get it. I don't waste my energy on worrying about whether everyone likes me. That's a losing battle. No one changes the world by trying to make everyone happy. No one creates anything revolutionary by playing it safe. You have to let go of the need to be understood by everyone. You have to let go of the fear of being wrong. You have to let go of the belief that you have to do things the way they've always been done. Because all of that's energy you could be using to build something real. The moment I learned to stop spending my energy on things that didn't move me forward, everything changed. I stopped wasting time on pointless meetings. I stopped letting negative people take up space in my mind. I stopped letting failures define me. Instead, I took all of that energy and put it into my work. I put it into building Apple. I put it into creating products that mattered. And because of that, I got results. Because of that, I created something bigger than myself. And that's what energy is for, to create, to build, to move forward. But most people don't do that. Most people spend their energy defending their past instead of creating their future. They waste it on regrets, on grudges, on things they should have let go of a long time ago. And the problem with that? The problem is, the more you focus on the past, the less energy you have for the present. The more you hold on to what was, the less space you have for what could be. And the people who understand that, they're the ones who make progress. They're the ones who grow. They're the ones who actually do something with their lives. I see it all the time. People who are talented, people who are capable, people who could do great things, but they never do because their energy is in the wrong place. They spend more time talking about their ideas than actually executing them. They spend more time worrying about what might go wrong than taking action. They spend more time doubting themselves than believing in what they're capable of. And the truth is, all of that takes energy. Self-doubt takes energy, fear takes energy, regret takes energy. And every ounce of energy you give to those things is energy you're taking away from your future. Look at the most successful people in the world. Look at the greatest innovators, the greatest artists, the greatest leaders. They all have one thing in common. They don't waste their energy. They don't spend time on negativity. They don't let fear paralyze them. They don't let failure stop them. They take all of that energy and use it to fuel them. They use it to keep moving forward. And that's why they win. Not because they never fail, not because they never struggle, but because they don't waste their energy on things that don't serve them. So let me ask you something. Where is your energy going? Are you using it to build something, to create something, to grow? Or are you letting it slip away into distractions, into doubts, into things that don't move you forward? Because if you don't decide where your energy goes, the world will decide for you. And I can guarantee you this. The world doesn't care about your vision. The world doesn't care about your dreams. If you let it, the world will eat up all your energy before you ever get the chance to use it for something meaningful. The people who make an impact in this world, they understand that energy is precious. They understand that every single decision they make is either fueling them or draining them. They don't waste time on things that don't matter. They don't let other people's opinions steer them off course. They don't spend hours scrolling through their phones, comparing themselves to people who have nothing to do with their path. They focus, they create, they build. And because of that, they change things. You have to ask yourself, what do you want to build? What do you want to create? What kind of life do you want to live? Because if you're not intentional with your energy, if you're not careful about where you spend it, you'll wake up one day and realize you've given it all away to things that never really mattered. And by then, it might be too late. By then, you might not have enough left to do what you were meant to do. And that That's the greatest loss of all. The people who achieve extraordinary things in life, they aren't necessarily smarter than you. They don't have more hours in the day than you. They just use their energy differently. They don't waste it on nonsense. They don't waste it on proving themselves to people who will never understand them. They don't waste it on fear, on doubt, on hesitation. They direct it like a laser. They cut out everything that doesn't serve their vision. And because of that, they make progress. While everyone else is drained by the end of the day, they still have fuel in the tank. They still have momentum. Because they've learned the secret that most people never figure out, energy is the most powerful resource you have, and if you don't manage it, you will always feel like you're running on empty. The people who accomplish the most aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who do the right things. They're the ones who protect their energy like their life depends on it, because it does. They understand that every ounce of energy they spend is an investment, and they make sure that investment is going towards something meaningful. They don't get distracted by nonsense. They don't let other people's negativity drain them. They don't waste time trying to convince people who will never believe in them. They channel all of their energy into their mission, and because of that, they build things that last. So ask yourself, where is your energy going? What are you spending it on? Are you using it to create, to build, to move forward? Or are you letting it get drained by distractions, by negativity, by things that don't serve you? Because at the end of the day, your energy is all you have. And if you don't spend it wisely, you won't have anything left for the things that actually matter.